Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Denver Broncos versus Indianapolis Colts Week 15 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation between various data points. However, there's always going to be little nuggets of truth that can become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you are new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So, starting with this matchup between the Broncos and the Colts. When you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and basic comparison data for those that are new to the channel or new to the concepts, essentially looks at how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and of course how the special teams is doing from a macro standpoint. And when you look at this information, it's pretty clear in most of the data that the Broncos are favored in this game. So let's get into some reasons why. First off, the one thing to really point out is that the Colts have a better offensive unit for the most part when it comes to their macro data. The Colts are better when it comes to turnover ratio. They don't turn the football over as much as the Broncos do, and the Colts also have better offensive score percentage, meaning that the Colts typically put points on the board on a per drive basis compared to the Broncos. But defensively, this is where the Broncos stick out the most. This is why the Broncos are favored, is that defensively speaking, the Broncos have the better defensive offensive score percentage, meaning that their defense is able to prevent points, and they also have a better sack percentage, a significantly better sack percentage, in fact. Whereas the Colts have better turnover and interception percentages. But when you look at the information, the one thing that really becomes clear is just that the offense of the Colts is better technically. However, the defense of the Broncos, I think in many ways this game is going to become a very defensive heavy team just looking at the data, looking at all the information. So I think this is just going to be a game in particular where the Broncos defense is at least average, and that is going to play into things by a major effect, by a major level, if things kind of get to that point. And then, of course, when you get to special teams data, when you look at this particular area, the Broncos are favored when it comes to punt return yardage. Kick return yardage favors the Colts, although it's fairly even. Defensive punt return yardage and defensive kick return yardage go to the Colts as well. Field goal percentage goes to the Colts. Extra point percentage goes to the Broncos. And punting average is kind of a tie, but it's a little slightly favored to the Broncos here. So special teams wise, I would say that the Colts do have the edge when it comes to the special teams in these particular aspects. However, the basic things to really take from this is that the Broncos defense, because it is the strongest unit out of any of these units, like the Broncos defense is a stronger unit than the Broncos offense. It's a stronger unit than the Colts offense and defense. And because of that, that's why the Broncos are favored in this game. It's because of how strong the Broncos defense is compared to how the other units are from that kind of standpoint. But then when we get to some micro matchups, so now we're getting into some down and distance data, looking at different situational football scenarios. And you look at the Broncos offense versus the Colts defense when it comes to completion percentage, and the Colts are favored here by a pretty massive way on first and second down. So the Colts defense could end up having a lot of success against the Broncos offense that has really struggled as of late, considering all the ups and downs that they've had. Then, of course, you get to the Colts offense versus the Broncos defense when it comes to completion percentage. And in this particular area, the Broncos are favored on first and third down. Then you get to rushing down. So this is the first down conversion rate with the run. This has nothing to do with yardage. This has nothing to do with explosive plays. It purely has to do with the ability to create first downs with the run. So if it's first and 5 and you run the football and you get a first down, that is going to help aid this particular score, if you will. So it's really just about the ability to convert in various downs and situations with the run. And in this particular area, the Colts defense is actually pretty favored here on first and second down, with only a major breakaway situation being on third down. The Broncos are fairly good when it comes to their rushing offense on third down, but not so much when it comes to first and second down. Then we get to the Colts offense versus the Broncos defense when it comes to rushing downs. And in this particular area, the Broncos are favored on first, second, and third down. So the Broncos defense continues to have a very good rushing defense, and I don't think that's really going to change with the Colts offense here. Then you get to passing downs with the Broncos offense versus the Colts defense. And in this particular area, the Broncos are favored on first and third down, with the only major area to consider being second down. Second down is by far the worst down and distance for the Broncos offense to convert, as well as the best down and distance for the Colts defense when it comes to having success against the pass. So that's going to be the only real area to kind of consider here strategy-wise, is that second down area, at least for the Colts defense. And then, of course, you get to the Colts offense versus the Broncos defense when it comes to passing downs. And in this area, the Broncos are favored on every single down, first, second, and third down especially. And this is another reason why the Broncos are so heavily favored, is because of how much success they've had in third down situations, second down situations, etc. And then, of course, you get to sack down. So this is basically the ability to prevent sacks for the Broncos offense versus the ability to create sacks with the Colts defense. And in this area, the Broncos are actually favored on second and third down in these particular areas. The Broncos do give up a lot of sacks on first and second down in particular, but the Colts really don't create a lot of sacks. So this is definitely a game where there may not be much of a threat to kind of create sacks on the Colts defense. And then, of course, you get to the Colts offense versus the Broncos defense when it comes to sacks. And in this area, the Broncos, of course, are favored on every down, first, second, and third down. I honestly think, based on how you look at all this and interpret this, I think the Broncos, it's safe to say, are going to have a couple sacks in this game, just because of the issues that the Colts have had with sacks. And then you get to interception ratio between the Broncos offense and the Colts defense. This particular area, the Colts are actually favored on first and second down. So both those areas are big pluses for the Colts defense, potentially to get some picks in this game, and also because the Broncos have had so many issues with picks. And then finally, we get to the Colts offense versus the Broncos defense, where the Colts are favored on first, second, and third down. And the Broncos defense has just not been as ball hockey as they used to be in the past this year. So that's definitely something to kind of worry about and kind of think about in this particular matchup. So overall impressions of this game in terms of just overall thoughts and opinions. I'd say it's easy to see that it is going to be a Broncos victory, but don't count out the Colts because there are a lot of cracks. There's a lot of issues. This is one of those games where the Broncos offense could make a lot of mistakes and end up giving the game away to the Colts. But I just have a feeling that when you look at all the information, you look at the micro matchups, you look at all the areas of potential success and failure, I think it really just comes out Broncos here. I think defensively, I think they're going to be able to get it done, have some success, and I think that's ultimately the biggest deciding factor in this game for me. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you believe is going to win this football game? And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.